The moment those words left her mouth, the entire hospital lobby seemed to inhale and forget to exhale. People stopped mid-step. Conversations died mid-sentence. Even the elevator bell sounded distant, like the world itself had paused to witness my humiliation. "Don't talk to the old lady. She's just the cleaner." I felt every gaze slide toward me. Sharp and curious, like needles pricking my skin, my daughter-in-law stood tall, chin raised, acting as if she had done something noble by protecting the receptionist from speaking to me. Little did she know the folder I had placed on the counter wasn't a cleaning report. It was something else, something she never imagined I had the right to hold. The receptionist, a soft-spoken girl with nervous eyes, glanced from her to me, confused, almost guilty. She didn't know that the woman in the faded uniform, the one smelling faintly of disinfectant, had once stood in rooms where people stood up when she entered. She didn't know the history folded inside that folder, a history that could silence my daughter-in-law far more loudly than her rude words ever could. But she was about to find out. The receptionist's eyes darted nervously between us, as if she had stepped into the wrong scene of a movie. My daughter-in-law folded her arms, clearly proud of herself, as though she had saved the hospital from some great inconvenience. Me, I didn't say a word. Silence can be louder than shouting, and mine carried years, no, decades of stories she had never dared to ask about. The receptionist finally spoke, her voice small but steady. "Ma'am, she came to submit a file. It seems important. Double quotes, important. If only she knew how important. My daughter-in-law scoffed, leaning in toward the desk. "She doesn't have anything important. She just cleans floors." "Give the file to me. I'll check it." The receptionist hesitated. "But it has her name. She can't read properly," my daughter-in-law snapped. "I handle everything for her." That stung. Not because it was true, because it wasn't. I could read just fine. I had once read things she couldn't dream of understanding. But I stayed quiet. Sometimes silence builds the perfect trap. I watched the receptionist push the folder slightly closer to her, as if protecting it like a fragile secret. My daughter-in-law's voice grew louder. I said, "Give it to me." This time, I placed my hand calmly over the folder. "Let her read it," I said softly. My daughter-in-law froze. It wasn't my words, it was my tone. Steady, confident, the kind of tone I hadn't used in years. The kind that reminded people I once commanded rooms full of professionals, not brooms. The receptionist, sensing a shift, opened the folder. A single sheet of paper slid out. She scanned the heading. Her eyes widened. Her breath caught. Her posture immediately straightened. I think there is some misunderstanding," she whispered, staring at me with new eyes. This is not a cleaning request." My daughter-in-law reached over and snatched the paper. "What nonsense!" She read the heading, then froze. "Appointment letter, senior advisor." Hospital compliance board. Her face drained of color. She blinked hard, reading the words again, as if they might magically change. The receptionist looked at me, stammering, "Ma'am, you were appointed as an advisor for this hospital." I simply nodded. My daughter-in-law's mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes darted around, trying to find logic, excuses, anything. What is this?" She finally whispered. "It's my new position," I said, "starting today. But you clean floors." "I do," I replied. "I've done it for years, and I'm proud of it." The receptionist looked even more confused. "But this says you have 20 years of administrative experience, international training, certifications, leadership roles." I smiled gently. "Yes, from my life before." My daughter-in-law stepped back, as if seeing me for the first time. You never told us. You never asked." The look that passed between us wasn't anger. It was disappointment, heavy and silent. Before she could speak, the hospital director appeared from the hallway, walking briskly toward the reception desk. "There you are," he said warmly, extending a hand to me. "We've been waiting. Welcome, ma'am." My daughter-in-law swallowed hard. The director continued. Your experience is exactly what we need to fix the compliance issues. Your reputation precedes you, my reputation, the one buried under years of silence and sacrifice. My daughter-in-law stared at me like a stranger. The director glanced at her and asked, "And you are?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "For now," I said gently, "she's with me." The director nodded and directed me toward the conference room for the introductory meeting with the board, but before I walked away, I turned to the receptionist. "Thank you for listening," I said. She smiled this time with respect. My daughter-in-law followed me silently, her heels clicking on the polished floor like tiny reminders of her shrinking pride. Inside the boardroom's long conference table was filled with serious-looking individuals. Files stacked, laptops open, glasses perched on noses. But when I stepped inside, they all stood up. All, even the ones who looked too important to stand for anyone. My daughter-in-law's eyes widened. The director cleared his throat. "Everyone, this is our new senior advisor. Her experience in policy reform and international audits will guide us through the upcoming evaluation." My daughter-in-law stared at me like she had just discovered a secret passage in a house. She thought she knew. I turned to her calmly. "You can wait outside." She nodded quietly. For the first time since she married my son, she didn't argue. After the meeting, she stepped out of the boardroom after an hour. I found her sitting stiffly on a chair, hands locked together. "Let's go," I said. We walked outside the hospital. The winter breeze was cool and the sun was dipping behind the building, casting long shadows. She finally spoke. Why didn't you tell us? Why were you working as a cleaner?" "I wasn't hiding," I replied. "I was surviving." I looked at her. She was young, proud, and often blind to the value of people around her. "When my husband died," I said softly, "I lost everything. Savings, home, stability. I had to start over. Cleaning was the only job I found quickly." Her chest rose and fell with guilt. "But you had all those qualifications to use them." "I needed time. I needed stability. I needed a chance. And while I waited, I worked, because honest work is never shameful. But disrespect always is." Her eyes welled up. "I didn't know," she whispered. "You didn't want to know." She looked down. "I'm sorry," she said, voice trembling. I placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Respect isn't about who stands higher. It's about seeing people clearly, even when they stand lower. A tear slid down her cheek. "I'll change," she whispered. "I hope so," I replied. Because the truth was, this day wasn't about titles or positions. It was about dignity, mine, and hopefully now hers too. A week later, everything changed. The hospital staff greeted me with smiles instead of pity. The receptionist treated me like royalty, and my daughter-in-law, she became quieter, kinder, watchful of her words. One morning, I walked into the lobby and saw her speaking politely to a janitor. "Thank you for your hard work," she told him. When she noticed me watching, she flushed pink. I nodded approvingly. She was learning. Final twist: a month later, during a board meeting, the director handed me a sealed envelope. "This is long overdue," he said. I opened it. A promotion, even higher, even more responsibility. My daughter-in-law was waiting outside the meeting room as usual when I showed her the letter. She smiled, genuinely proud. "You earned it," she said softly. "No," I replied, folding the letter gently. "I worked for it." She nodded. "And I'm honored," she added, "that you are my family." I smiled. "You see," I said, "some stories don't start at the top, they start at the bottom. And that's what makes reaching the top worth it." We walked out of the hospital together, side by side, not cleaner and daughter-in-law, but two women finally seeing each other clearly. Some stories end quietly, but mine didn't. Because sometimes life waits patiently for the perfect moment to reveal who you truly are. As I stepped out of the hospital that evening, promotion letter in hand and a lighter heart in my chest, the cool breeze felt different, almost like it carried applause only I could hear. For years, I had walked through those same doors as a cleaner, invisible to most, ignored by many. Today, I walked out as someone reborn, someone finally seen. My daughter-in-law walked beside me. Not a step ahead, not a step behind with me. Her silence was no longer made of pride. It was full of realization, respect, and maybe a little regret. But that's the thing about life. The people who once dismissed you often become the ones who learn the greatest lessons from you. I paused at the entrance, looking back at the lobby where it had all begun, where one harsh sentence tried to shrink my worth. But life has a strange way of flipping the script. I wasn't just the cleaner. I was a woman rising again, a woman life couldn't break. A woman who knew her worth even when others did, in single quotes, and now the world knew it too.